Hey class, so this week we are talking corporate level strategies, in particular retrenchment strategies. So according to chapter 8, retrenchment is a strategy that businesses can use essentially to survive. Businesses will briefly downsize or right size in order to cut costs and save capital. These savings can help the business stay afloat or even give them the foundation to come back stronger when the opportunity presents itself. There are many businesses that use this strategy and many reasons to do so. For example, in today's climate, we are post pandemic for the most part still dealing with extremely high inflation. The political climate is also unfortunately impacting businesses through the use of tariffs. And so ultimately, high inflation and tariffs don't only affect consumers, they also affect businesses, right? And the amount of revenue that they see based on these types of changes. And so with that being said, these can put businesses in a very difficult position financially, forcing them to divert to the retrenchment strategies. Now, one example that comes to mind for me is my organization, actually. So, several years ago, our business decided that they were going to lay off hundreds of employees. And at the time, not knowing what I know now, I was obviously devastated. I looked at the organization a little bit sideways in the perspective of, these people have worked for this organization for so many years. How could they lay off all of these employees, right? Some of which were friends or close acquaintances of mine. Now knowing what I know and now being 5 to 6 years later, I am now seeing how the business used the retrenchment strategy in their overall corporate level strategy to essentially downsize temporarily to then launch into what like a scale very largely. So now fast forward a few years, the organization has acquired a few different companies. They've essentially added in new positions that made more sense for the business, and they're more successful than they've ever been. And so this is an example of where retrenchment can work if you have a vision long term to do some things differently, and essentially maybe the health of the business that you're looking at currently is saying we need to, as I said before, kind of pull back a little bit, and we really need to look at this organization as a whole and decide how we can cut costs um, in order to essentially meet the objectives of our long-term strategy. And so, yeah, that's an example of retrenchment and of a reason that it could be used. However, as I mentioned earlier, there could be a lot of different reasons. This is just one.